There's a story about a classroom that this professor had. And in this classroom, he had everybody prepared for the final exam. And they prepared and did their best to prepare. And they wrote out their final exam and they took the test. And he told them, he said, ball it up in a big ball. And he said, I want you to make the ball as tight as possible. And what I want you to do is aim for this basket in the front of the classroom. If you make it inside the basket, then you get 100. If you don't make it inside the basket, you fail the class. A lot of the class was happy about it because it was like, that was a hard exam. But then, as the shots began to happen, they began to see something, because most everybody on the first row made it into the basket. The second row was a little harder, but they made it into the basket. The third row, a little more challenging, they made it into the basket. But there were so many rows in this classroom, more than 20 maybe. And the ones on the further rows began to get upset and get discouraged, because it was like, this is not fair. There's no way that we can make it into this basket. Now, nobody on the first couple of rows complained, because there was like, what are you talking about? You just throw it into the basket. And even every once in a while, when somebody on the first or second row would miss, they would be like, oh, get another shot. You get another shot at it. It was too close to miss. It was too close to miss. And every once in a while, when somebody on the back row would make it, they would make it and be able to pass. But then if something happens and it came out, they would have to go all the way back to the back row to shoot again to get another chance. And I thought about that and how unfair that is. And I thought about how after a while, the people on the back row begin to change. They begin to say, well, you know what? If this basket is the basket that is going to determine my success, then, and I know that there's an extreme rare chance that I'm going to make it into this basket, I'm going to make my own baskets. I'm going to have my own decisions of what I think success is. Those are some nice shoes. That's a nice car, nice women. This is what success is now, because the real aim for success that you're telling me that I have to get is so far away, and there's so many hoops to jump to, and it's so unfair that there's nothing I can do about it. So I have my own means of success. Other people would take that and they would get mad and get frustrated, not only with the people on the front rows, but because of the situation they were in, they get mad at the people that are on their rows as well, because they couldn't figure out what was wrong. Why there's nothing can be done. There's nothing that could be done about being on these rows, because they didn't choose to be on these rows. They were on the rows. Some of them got mad and they made their own roads. They made their own cities, and then it was shut down. Black Wall Street. So you say, well, what happens? How do you fix this classroom? Because this classroom was unfair. But nobody on a couple of first rows saw that it was unfair. But what if this wasn't a classroom? What if this is America? What if this is what happens every day, and there are people that sit on the front row of life all the time, and they don't see it being unfair because they were born on the front row? And they don't see how there were people that were born on different rows in life that were never taught things. And it's just not just about black and white. It's just more of an economical, a social thing, because if you're not taught education and your parents weren't taught education. See, the thing about why people say forget about slavery and all this, the thing that's hard to forget is this. After slavery was abolished, the people weren't given anything. Not that we need to be given anything. I want to say something. Anybody that has made it now, that is my color, they had to go through some hoops. They had to come up through some hoops. They had to get neglected from their family, some of them, but every one of them had to go through something to get there. The ones that are at a poverty level now, they are where they were left from way back. Their families just never excelled. Say, what are you talking about? Well, that's the way they were left. And when you look at somebody that's less than you, and you look at somebody that's on the 20th row and all, and you're like, well, or you had just as many chances I have. No, you really didn't, because if you're in a household that says, hey, just get a job. It doesn't matter if your job is at Food Line or if your job is at McDonald's. Just get a job. It doesn't matter if your job is at a plant. And then you live in a household where they're like, no, you need an education. This is how you get an education. We pay for an education. You save your money. It's a big difference because you're living what you're taught. I think about these roles in classrooms, and I think about how I talk to my son, and I'm hard on him. I'm really hard on him. And the reason why I'm hard on him is because I know for a fact that you just can't be good in this country to make it. You have to be better than the best. You can't be all right at something. You have to be so great at it that you're undeniable, that nobody can deny you. You know what? You want to know why sports are so downplayed now? I'll tell you why. Because sports are the only thing that people are undenied at. You can't deny that somebody's faster than somebody. You can't deny that somebody's better at somebody in the sport. That's the reason why it's so downplayed. A long time ago, when blacks were allowed to play sports and they saw that they were faster, they were quicker, they had this, oh, that's because they're monkeys. They're supposed to do this, and they downplayed it and made it somebody successful because they're an athlete. Oh yeah, that's what that is. Because there was no way to downplay that. The only thing they could do is be downright racist about it. So yeah, there's a lot of hurt. I don't think I've ever made a post like this. I definitely haven't made a post this long. I'm frustrated that our people is at a place to where it is hard for us to protest without a handful of us getting out of hand. But the facts remain the same, and people say, well, what's the solution? I think the first one solution is not always looking at the back rows and being like, see, these back rows, they fighting each other. They fighting each other because they're trapped. But one thing that you can look at and say, well, you can look back and be like, wow, there are rows back there that I'm not on. That is a real issue. And until we accept that, that's a problem. And the ones that are on those back rows, the only way to fix that is to realize you're on a road together. You're on a road together. There's nothing you can do about it but stay together. Come together. Non-violently try to educate yourself as much as possible. So when things like this come up, you know how to stand. You know when to speak. You know why to speak. And when you speak, you're speaking with confidence, and you're speaking with education, and you're speaking with the rights that you have. So I don't want to go on any further. I went way longer than I planned on it, but it's hurtful. It is hurtful. I'm in an industry where I see it all the time, so don't tell me it doesn't exist, and don't tell me there are no roads when you live on the front row.